Welcome back to Brands Hatch for the final race of the 2018 Radical SR1 Cup. We've still got a champion to crown. James Pinkerton comes into this race 31 points ahead of Ryan Harper-Ellam in the championship. There are 41 points still available. It's all very tight. Let's hear from Linda McNeil, who joins the grid this weekend.
If I can keep position rather than lose positions in this race, then it's a win for me.
So here's the grid for the final race of the season then. Ryan Harper-Ellam starts on pole position and Shane Stoney is alongside. James Pinkerton, the champion-elect, on row number 2 alongside Dean Warriner. And it's Mackenzie Walker and Julian Lay on row 3. Will Hunt and Chris Short on 4. Linda McNeil and Mark Williams on 5. And it's Paul Clark, Gavin McAlpine, David Tagg to the tail end of the field. So for James Pinkerton, in reality, all he needs to do is finish this race as good as, and he'll be crowned the 2018 Radical SR1 Cup champion. Problems for Mark Williams on the warm-up lap. He's pulled the car out of harm's way, so the race will be able to get going. James Pinkerton and Shane Stoney on the front row of the grid. It's a good start from Dean Warriner from the second row of the grid, but the front two are away, and it's going to be Ryan Harper-Ellam that leads. Shane Stoney in second place. James Pinkerton is there in third place. Dean Warriner, despite the good start, has dropped down back into his grid position, which is fourth place. The leading pair up towards the braking area for Druids for the first time. This is exactly what Ryan Harper-Ellam needs here. A, to be ahead of James Pinkerton, and B, to hope that Pinkerton drops down through the order. A spin very early on for David Tagg. No harm done. He will get going and will just drop down to the tail end of the field. But the lead pair are already starting to break away from the pack behind. Ryan Harper-Ellam leads the race. Shane Stoney is in second position. James Pinkerton is there in third place. Remember, James is in the lead of the championship, 31 points ahead of the current race leader, Ryan Harper-Ellam. Here's a good fight going on. Dean Warriner is under pressure here. Looks as though Will Hunt is sitting firmly in the slipstream. Might be able to try and squeeze his way through here, given half a chance. However, he's on the left-hand side of the circuit. That's the outside line for Paddock Hill Bend. So Dean Warriner hangs on to us as they turn their way in towards the right-hander. Now he needs to get across to cover off any move from Will Hunt on the run towards the braking area for this corner here, which is Druids, and that's exactly what Dean Warriner has done. So there's no opportunity again for Will Hunt to try and squeeze his way through, as they are busy fighting over the last couple of places down towards the bottom of the top 6. Turn their way through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend along the Cooper Straight and in towards the flicks of Surtees and McLaren and Clearways Corner. Dean Warriner has dispensed with a little bit of Will Hunt's aspirations, because Will Hunt is now coming under pressure from the car that sits directly behind him. And that's Chris Short by the look of things. This is Mackenzie Walker now under pressure from Dean Warriner, with, as you can see, Will Hunt now much further back at the end of the lap than he was relative at the start of it. Up towards the braking area for Paddock Hill Bend. Looks like Mackenzie Walker is going to lose out here as Dean Warriner sneaks his way through and up the inside on the way into the corner. Mackenzie Walker's trying to fight back on the way out, but Warriner's got the move covered off, so he's able to hang on to the place for the moment. You can see 4 cars now, with all of the squabbling, are all pretty much together, and it's the lead few cars that are now starting to break away a shade more. Through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, Dean Warriner, Mackenzie Walker, then the number 21 car in the hands of Will Hunt, with Chris Short, number 11, not too far away as well. Through Surtees up towards McLaren. You can see the car's bouncing over the curbs, not using too much curb though, because it's still just a little bit damp on the very edges of the circuit. But weather-wise, at the back end of the racing season, it's been a very good weekend generally on the whole. Very cold, a little bit damp, but the sun's been out and the track has slowly dried at various points throughout the course of this weekend. Through Paddock Hill Bend, once more they'll go. Dean Warriner, Mackenzie Walker, then Will Hunt, followed shortly thereafter by Chris Short. Towards the braking area for Druids. Nobody's really close enough to try and pull a move that time through, so the order still remains the same as they then propel themselves back downhill again and in towards the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Dean Warriner almost sort of turned in, I think, a little bit too early to the corner there. Problems on the way out of the corner, and that's a spin, and it's going to make lightest of contact with the barriers. That's Chris Short that's had the spin. No damage done at all, I wouldn't have thought, other than a very slight amount of cosmetic damage to the number 11 car. He will get going, but of course that's going to drop him well and truly down through the order. Dean Warriner pushing on as hard as he can. Mackenzie Walker looking to try and close as they head round through Clearways up towards Clark Curve. You can see they've now managed to gap the car behind, which is Will Hunt, as a result of that off for Chris Short. That sort of split the 4 a little bit. These two have paired off on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Brake lights come on, turn their way in towards the right-hander. The Hankook tyres working terribly hard in these tricky conditions still. All of the drivers still pushing on and trying to make a good impression in the final race of what has been an extended season for the 2018 Radical SR1 Cup. downhill in towards the braking area yet again for Graham Hill Bend. It is still Dean Warriner from Mackenzie Walker. Mackenzie, who we're well used to seeing racing in the Lotus Elise Trophy within the UK. His first weekend of radical racing. He's had a big old smile on his face all weekend so far and has thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Over the start-finish line yet again now comes Dean Warriner, now slowly just starting to eke that gap out. So the gap between himself and Mackenzie Walker coming out all of the time. There's our race leader, Ryan Harper-Ellam, who has now started to pull away a little bit from Shane Stoney. Shane Stoney had been applying the pressure in the early stages, but just seems to have sort of faltered a little bit as Ryan Harper-Ellam has consistently lapped that little bit quicker, and at this stage is potentially on for another additional championship point for the fastest lap of the race. There goes Gavin McAlpine, Lyndon McNeil, and then the recovering number 11 car of Chris Short through Druids. So Lyndon McNeil in his second ever race, of course, only did his ARDS test a few days ago. The motorsport photographer coming under pressure from the recovering Chris Short. Lyndon McNeil will look at his mirrors. Is he going to let him through? It looks as though Chris Short had the momentum, and Chris Short has already been able to use his additional experience and pace coming out of the previous corner. He's able to gain another place. So after his spin, starting to carve his way back through the field now. And now that he's got himself ahead of Lyndon McNeil, that now puts Chris Short back inside the top 10. He's still got a huge amount of work to do if he wants to catch the cars that he was doing battle with prior to that error coming out of Graham Hill Bend, but he's going the right way about the task that's in hand. The next of the cars he's going to want to try and catch is going to be the number 17 car of that man there, which is Gavin McAlpine. So Gavin McAlpine out of Druid, you can see already Chris Short is beginning to reel him in as quickly as he possibly can. So the two of them through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Chris Short using all of the curves, but no more than that. Gavin McAlpine perhaps not using as much of the curb as the car that's hunting him down. Already over the course of this lap you can see the amount of daylight between Gavin McAlpine and Chris Short has diminished significantly, and that should give him maybe an opportunity to gain the place over the start-finish line. There goes our race leader, still under no pressure at all. Ryan Harper-Ellam already with win number 7 earlier on this weekend, looking as though he might be able to try and make it 8 for the season. But at the moment, with James Pinkerton lying where he does in the race, even 8 wins is not going to be enough for Ryan Harper-Ellam to overhaul the champion-elect James Pinkerton. Flash of the lights for Shane Stoney as he works his way through some of the slower traffic, but on the basis of that he's got a bit of a gap between himself and James Pinkerton in 3rd place. Again, he can just afford to bide his time whilst he works his way through the slower traffic, having dispensed with the first of those, which was the car of Paul Clark. The next of them is going to be David Tagg, who he should pick off on the run in towards, there we go, Graham Hill Bend. Up the inside he goes through, and now that is both of the first of the back markers that he needs to catch has been dealt with. Already been dealt with by that man there, Ryan Harper-Ellam, who is back over the start-finish line, still with traffic again that he will have to try and thread his way through. It is Gavin McAlpine who he meets beautifully just as they come out of Paddock Hill Bend, so no time lost at all there for James Pinkerton as he worked his way through the traffic. He can now concentrate his efforts as he heads down towards Graham Hill Bend. Contact and 2 cars into the gravel. One is number 44 Julian Lay, the other one difficult to tell because of the angle of it, but looking at the crash helmet I fear it might be number 61 Dean Warriner that's come to grief. So that is going to bring about localised yellow flags as Mackenzie Walker puts a lap on Paul Clark on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend. No time lost at all there for Mackenzie Walker as he looks to try and push on. He's still in pursuit of trying to hunt down James Pinkerton at this stage. Of course, James Pinkerton will be concentrating on just doing the maths in his head and making sure he's got enough to seal the championship in this race. So there goes James Pinkerton up towards the area where the yellow flags are being shown. Now, have they been withdrawn? And there, over the start-finish line, also amongst the traffic, goes the 2nd place car in the race, which is Shane Stoney. He is now the best part of 7 to 8 seconds behind our race leader, Ryan Harper-Ellam. So safety car is coming out. We've not been able to clear it with localised yellows. There, being dragged out of the way, is Julian Lay's car. The other car of Dean Warriner was extracted from the gravel and is now going to be off the lead lap, and we get the race back underway. So Ryan Harper-Ellam, all of the hard work he'd done was undone with the safety car, but thankfully he's got back markers between himself and Shane Stoney. So as the race gets back underway, Shane Stoney is having to hold position until they come over the start-finish line, and only then can he start to make a little bit of progress. That has also brought James Pinkerton and Mackenzie Walker together as well, so it really has bunched them up, and it's going to bring a grandstand finale to the 2018 Radical SR1 Cup Championship season. He's you see all of the squabbles going on as they work their way round through Druids. But for our race leader, Ryan Harper-Ellen, he is out front and has already started to pull away, whilst the rest of the cars are starting to work their way through the traffic. It's also helped Chris Short following his spin. It's meant that he's been able to catch up with all of those cars he had been struggling with. There over the start-finish line goes Shane Stoney in second position, already now having dropped a fair way away from Ryan Harper-Ellen, who as soon as the safety car was back in, got the race back underway and was on it immediately, and has already opened up a bit more of a gap. Shane Stoney in second place. He's still got traffic to deal with, and it's not a slow car either. It's Dean Warrener's car, number 61, is the next of the cars he's going to want to work his way through, and James Pinkerton is tasked with something similar as well. He's just managed to put a lap on Lyndon McNeil, who again, sensibly, the novice driver, using his mirrors, making sure that he doesn't get in the way of the quicker cars, and in particular the championship leader, who has now gone through to place a lap on him. So there goes James Pinkerton, and there is Mackenzie Walker, number 27. Now, those two have been closing up for third and fourth place. Mackenzie Walker probably with a better run through the back marker traffic as well, so the fight isn't fully formed as yet for third and fourth, but it's certainly going the right way as far as Mackenzie Walker is concerned. They are also now on their last lap of the race, so for James Pinkerton, all he needs to do is make sure that he as good as finishes this race. Now, he's running third at the moment, so if he's caught by Mackenzie Walker, James Pinkerton might be well advised just to let him go through, but for Pinkerton, he'll desperately want to finish on the podium in the last race of the season. Well, Ryan Harper-Ellen, who's had a fantastic weekend, pole position in both races, fastest lap in both races, a win in both races, but it's not going to be enough to lift the championship crown. It's a win for Ryan Harper-Ellen. Win number 8 of the season goes his way. We are going to see a great fight to the flag by the look of things, and a spin for Chris Short for the second time in this race. He was trying to sneak his way through and past Will Hunt, but it wasn't quite to be. It is going to be James Pinkerton who comes through and over the start-finish line to finish in third and will claim the championship. A solid weekend for number 79, Ryan Harper-Ellen, but 2 retirements over the course of the season ultimately cost him dear. Confirmation of the results, it's a win for Ryan Harper-Ellen from Shane Stoney in second place and James Pinkerton in third. Mackenzie Walker, Will Hunt and Chris Short complete the top 6 out of Dean Warrener, Gavin McAlpine, Lyndon McNeil and David Tagg, with Paul Clark and Mark Williams being the last finishers. So for James Pinkerton, he has finished on the podium in every single race this year and is now confirmed as the 2018 Radical SR1 champion, from Ryan Harper-Ellen in second, and Will Hunt it was who finished third in the championship ultimately. So James Pinkerton has done the maths. He celebrates down in the pit lane with the team, and then is going to have to make his way out onto the championship podium, which awaits the top 3 and the winner of the Fangio class and the winner of the Rookie Cup. Out onto the podium goes our third place driver and of course the champion for this year, James Pinkerton. Second in the red overall, Shane Stoney, and the top step of the podium is reserved for the 8th time this season to Ryan Harper-Ellen. He congratulates his fellow competitors, disappointed I'm sure that the championship wasn't to be his, but there can only be one champion, and that person for 2018 is James Pinkerton. Also the winner of the Fangio Cup and the Rookie Trophy join our top 3 on the podium at Brands Hatch. So 5 very happy looking drivers complete the last podium of the 2018 championship season for the Radical SR1 Cup, and they celebrate in traditional style. Let's hear from some of the drivers.
The results are the best you can come away with across the weekend. So the team did a great job. I'm pretty pleased with my driving, and just the overall championship battle. For it to come down to the wire is perfect. That's how racing should be. And James put in a more consistent year. He came out on top, so it is what it is. And well done to him.
I'm over the moon to get on the podium. From what I've been doing this year, I've been driving sports cars all year. So it's a big jump to go from that into this. So to get on the podium, I'm over the moon.
You are this year's champion in Radical SR1 Cup. How does that feel, first off?
Incredible. I mean, it's almost an unachievable task. Ryan is pro pace, is unbelievably quick, so we just had to deliver where we can, but incredible. Really good feeling.
And what an accolade for you this year. You've been on the podium at every single race.
No, doesn't get much better than that.
Are you going to continue with Radicals next year?
Definitely. The car's phenomenal. The championship's brilliant. I love it. Yeah.
I'm over the moon. It's just been so good. I've had the best 2 days here at Brands Hatch, with the whole testing yesterday in the rain to today with qualifying in the damp, First race in drying conditions, second race in dry but chilly conditions, and it's just been an absolute blast. Having only done my yards a few weeks ago, to my first test, to being in the car now and racing it, and I gave a couple of places away, but I got them back. It's just been an absolute blast of a weekend, and I don't want to give it up. I don't want to get rid of it. This is my car now. I'm taking it home.